In this video, we're going to talk about Spawn versus the Klansmen, a black and white redemption story. Alright, my brothers and my sisters from another mister, this is a comic book review of Spawn, issue number 30, brought to you by Rated Comics. Let's get to it. So we begin this issue exactly where we left off in the last issue. Spawn's costume is throbbing and it's angry and it wants him to teleport back to New York because in the previous issue in the Angela storyline, he got dropped off in Alabama. So after the whole ordeal with the kid and his father and how that ended up in the last issue, Spawn's kind of regretful on that, thinking he should have played God about that. But then at the same time, the guy needed to be taught a lesson. But this costume wants Spawn to transport back to New York and Spawn doesn't want to do that because he wants to conserve his energy. And on top of that, he can't stop thinking about that woman Wanda, and he can't stop thinking about Angela. And the reason why he can't stop thinking about both of them, well, let's start from the top with Wanda. So with Wanda, he bargained his soul to Malboja to get back at her, to see her one more time. But when he had that chance to save her in the alleyway a couple issues back, Wanda looked at him with disgust, and Spawn is thinking like, what do you expect me to do, girl? You want me to treat them like gentlemen after all they did to you? Now with Angela, on the other hand, Spawn is saying Angela came on to him. So it's kind of like, okay, is Spawn to cheat on Wanda with Angela even though she's a widow? It's kind of crazy how that is. But while he's thinking about all that, this truck comes by with these Ku Klux Klan members and they're just on a mission to do something. Spawn's like, no, I can't believe what I'm seeing right now. Well, that's like movies. People still do that? Come on now. But he goes back to pondering about Angela and Wanda dilemma. You know, how he's kind of caught up in the mix of it. But in the distance, he hears a woman scream and all of a sudden lights exploding. So he stops by to take a look and see what happens. But we see this guy, Brad, his wife, and his child, and Brad is getting a hose because he's about to put all this fire out that the Ku Klux Klan members started because they're trying to weed him out of town. So Brad's wife is like, it's just time where we forget about all this. It's not even worth this fight. This is madness. And Brad's like, nah, this is my property. This is my land. And you know what? This is mine. They ain't gonna run me out like that. I'm not going out like that, B. So his wife is like, think of us for once, not them. They'll kill us. You're gonna sacrifice our lives for your pride? Nearly lost in all the commotion is the sound of a dry corn stalk shifting, and that Spawn and the little kid notices that. So Brad tells his wife, these white trash maggots, I swear they'll pay for this. If it's the last thing I'll do, they'll pay. Not with me around, says his wife. I can't live like this no more. You become possessed. So Spawn emerges and he's like, it looks like you folks could use some help around here. Ooh, give me the gun. I'll move and I'll kill you, son. And Spawn's like, well, first of all, I'm unarmed. And Brad's like, well, that's good for you. I got a message you can take back to your clan friends. Tell them to beware because I ain't going nowhere. This is my land. I'll die protecting it. And Spawn's like, well, I'm not from the clan. Then why do you wear a mask, says Brad. Who are you and what are you hiding? And Spawn's like, I'm hiding my past. So Spawn tells him a story how it was when he was Al Simmons working for the government, or working for the white man, as they say. Those boys are in the power positions, ready to use and abuse the black community somehow. We're never good enough for the skilled work. You know, whenever backlash happens, they just go into the holes and they make us do all the dirty work. So we're like the sacrificial lambs, the black sheep, so to speak. And when confronted, they get the same plastic smile and tell us to be patient. The best answer we get from the government is quotas, forcing them to hire minorities for bogus positions that they just made up, just kind of sweep it under the rug. Now, if we try to leave, they just replace us with the next one who was set in line next. Someone far too eager to please, even to notice the danger signals. So Spawn goes back, believe me, I understand your anger, but they've only torched your fields. And when they had all that they could stomach with me, they torched something far more precious. That's why I wear a mask. Ooh, so they're like, okay, geez, mister, this is some kind of crazy that you're dealing with right there, you know? So Brad tells Spawn, you know, I'm going to take this to court. You know, I'm going to have to sue them, you know, let the law decide. And Spawn's like, these men aren't interested in the law, all right? They're armed and they outnumber you. You should listen to your wife. No good can come of this, all right? So the next night, the clan gets together, starting the fire, doing their thing, and they're like, let's see how they react to a little cleansing. So they're determined to get this bro out of the picture, all right? So they chant, they scream, and they talk about, we're going to meet at Jerry's barn in the next 3 hours. So come prepared, we got to get it going on. So before they can get it going on, Spawn's about to get it going on because while he was trained as a commando, a ninja, and an assassin, Al Simmons learned to make do with the materials at hand. Well, with the materials that he had at hand, created this other thing. Okay, this explosion happened. So Spawn tells him, leave the Armstrong ranch alone, alright? They're like, what the hell is that? They shoot first and literally ask questions later, for real. All they could think of in this whole commotion is, well, somehow this guy knew about our plans. That shouldn't be. So one of the Klan members like, well, bring him here. I want to see if we shot a color psycho or someone with a death wish or a little bit of both. Or do we even have a traitor amongst us? What the hell's going on? So when they try to move him, well, keep in mind, Spawn weighs about 400, 500, 600 pounds. That ain't gonna happen. And when they try to take off the symbiote, which they don't know it's a symbiote, well, that ain't gonna happen either. So what they want to do is they want to finish Spawn off properly in their eyes. So they hang him out, but they want to come back in the morning so that way they don't leave the evidence hanging around for far too long. So the next morning, Brad comes by and discovers Spawn being hung, and he's like, oh man, they got to him too. I'm gonna get to them. Drop the gun, Armstrong, says one of the Klan members, before I give you a third eye the size of a grapefruit. They go in and they pistol whip him to the point where the guy is unconscious, you know? So the lights are out with him, but guess what? Spawn is no longer hung right there. He comes back and he gives him a lights out of his own. So in court, the Klan's attorney was like, okay, so the reason why Brad brings him to court is because of this murder. He wants to point out that they murdered Spawn, but because he has no evidence on that, the judge is pissed. Next time you try to waste my time with false and defaming lawsuits, now get out of here before I find you in contempt. You know, you better have some evidence before you come back around here. So Brad is like, man, this town is making me sick. I ain't got no evidence. These people are bad and they're trying to run me out, but nothing seems to go his way. He just can't catch a break. So very soon, the Klan members having a meeting and they're like, yo, the judge is ever going to be fired up about this and they're going to do their thing to get Brad out of town. The judge is in on it. So as the deadline draws, the Klan members go about their daily routines. But before they do that, Spawn makes sure that he torments him by putting gasoline in that guy's liquid, and that other guy with his $5,000 shotgun, Spawn makes sure, hey, you know what, you ain't gonna be using that. I don't care how much you set up for it. And this other guy, Ray Crabtree, who bought this truck, well, his truck is now a 2x2. That ain't gonna happen. But in Judge Zachary Meison's chambers, Spawn goes in and he's like, I've been waiting for you, Judge. Time we had a meeting of our minds. Thursday, just before midnight at the Armstrong Ranch. Come alone. So Spawn leaves and Judge Meison's like, I don't care. He calls his people, he calls the Klan and tells them, give me a 10-minute head start. I don't care what happens to the other people in the Klan with the car and the shotgun and all the other stuff. It doesn't matter. Send in the cavalry after I had my 10-minute head start with Spawn. So by the time Thursday arrives, the meeting night, paranoia has gripped the entire cloaked congregation. The Ku Klux Klan is cloaked. So Judge Meison goes in and he goes in guns blazing. He shoots first, asks questions later. Where are you, Spooky? I know that's you, Brad. Quit pretending to be your dead friend. It won't save you. So Spawn goes up behind him like, who's pretending? What do you want, says the judge. More than you can give me, redneck. You see, I know you're kind. There's nothing that would have even a remote chance of sinking into that racist brain of yours except one thing, fear. You know, that little emotion used to make people leave their homes, their families. But that doesn't bother you, does it, Josh? Well, here's something that might. So it turns out before Spawn could do his thing, the cavalry pulls up and the judge is like, that's right, fool. My people are here. You're a dead man. You must have forgotten about my friends. And Spawn's like, well, let's just see how well your friends know you. Rays of greenish light flash intensely for 3 seconds, but these guys are so pissed they don't even notice that. They just want to come in, guns blazing. Judge, it's us over there. I see something. So they go in and they see their other fellow Klan member, and so they reveal him, and then thinking that it's the judge, it's not the judge. And what's funny about this is when they see him in the robe, I could just hear the dialogue playing in my head. How dare you desecrate this sacred robe? No darky is worthy of its touch. How dare you mess with us? Rawr! So they get all riled up, but even though the judge, even though he's colored because of Spawn, he tells him, Billy, Gary, what are you doing? It's me, Meison, put me down. They're so outraged that it doesn't even come across their head that how could this guy possibly know our names behind our mask? There's only one way. They don't even stop to question. They're so pissed off about it. They pistol whip this guy to silence him. And then somewhere not so far away, Spawn gives Brad a file containing documents that show how land was illegally procured through extortion and force. But the judge kept pretty extensive notes. His mistake though? No body of government outside this county will disregard these facts. With these in your hands now, Brad, take it to the state judiciary. You won't have to worry about being run off your land. Your friends will get back what's rightfully theirs. Our people will return. And Brad is like, I don't know how you survive, but man, God does work in mysterious ways. And what about the judge? I hope the judge don't cause no more problems, says Brad. Oh, says Spawn, I think he got the message. Don't trip, Potato Chip. He ain't gonna be bothering you anymore. And that is the end of this issue of Spawn, issue number 30, where Spawn versus a Klansman and a black and white redemption. What you guys think of this comic book? Comment below, let me know. Also, link in description if you wish to add this comic book and or any of our other limited print Rated Comics exclusives to add to your comic book collection. Support the art, support the industry. Lastly, this video is sponsored by coffee, so if you'd like to buy your boy a cup of coffee, link in description or donate to the Super Thanks. But the greatest compliment you guys can do is by liking this video and subscribing to Rated Comics YouTube channel. Thank you again for watching. Until next time.